Alright there folks, welcome to another Fishing Adventures Bite Size, and this episode we're actually talking about technology, okay? There's no getting away from it. It surrounds and controls pretty much everything we do in our lives all the time. But can technology be used to help us with our fishing? Yes is the short answer, basically. There's a few apps out there. Well, there's hundreds to be perfectly honest, but a lot of them seem to be over like in America following the bass tournaments and stuff like that. But when there's £1 million prize money for the season, then it's understandable that that is going to be important. But what about here in the UK? I've done a bit of looking around, and there's one app that I use all the time. It is literally a lifesaver, and I'll come to that one in a minute. The other one I want to talk to about is called Fishbrain. You may have heard of it, you may not. Now what Fishbrain does, it is, I think it was a Swedish company that invented it, and it's an app that covers the globe. Basically you log on, put your details in, where you live, what sort of fish you catch and stuff like that, and then whenever you go fishing you can take a picture, upload it to this site, and it lets other anglers know how certain stretches of river or canals, ponds, lakes, the sea, whatever, are fishing and what sort of tactics are working. Now with Fishbrain there's a free version which gives you a lot of access to stuff, and the paid version which goes into a lot more detail. It lets you open up different files so you know what baits are working, what tactics are working, and you can join communities and all that sort of junk. I don't use it basically because I just find it really tedious and unnecessary. It's if you want to research a bit of river, there's plenty of other places to do it. Facebook forums are a great one, and there's people on there always spouting off about what they've caught in certain areas and stuff like that. So that for me is a better way of doing it. But if you like the apps and you like sharing your pictures and bits like that, then go and check out Fishbrain. But it does have its limitations, okay? Now the second app is called River App. Now this one is for rivers, basically. Obvious because it's in the title, but what can it tell you? Well, every single stretch of river in the UK and further afield will have measurement gauges on it and flow rate gauges, etc, etc. Now we all know when it rains a river will flood, because that's what they're there for. That's what they do. They drain all the water away into the sea. But how do we know if it's fishable at certain levels? Now I've got a couple of pictures here. Now this was taken when the river on the gauge, as you can see, it was registering at 4.3 meters. Now 4.3, is that fishable or is it not? Now if you look at the photograph, you can see the bit highlighted is steps. Now on a few episodes I've actually been sat on those steps fishing, okay? So it's definitely not fishable at that height. But the beauty of what this app does, it shows you what happened for the past 48 hours. Okay, you can pay a subscription to get data that goes back further, but to be fair, do we really need that? It doesn't matter. It's in the past, it's gone. I'm more interested in what's going to happen in the future. So I checked the river app to check the river levels. I also check the weather forecast to see what rain is in the area, because different rivers will have a different catchment area, and if your catchment area is huge, you're going to get a ton of water pouring in, whether it's been raining heavily in your area or not. So you've got to bear that in mind, and that's where this app comes in, because you can gauge what's going to happen to your particular river. So yeah, as you can see from the pictures there, if it's running at say over 4 meters, you know roughly what that's going to look like in real terms, so you know it's going to be unfishable. If however it was say 3.8 or 3.7, you could use that kind of mental picture again, and just once you've seen the river a few times at different heights, you get to know what's going to be fishable. And if it's 3.7, 3.8, maybe there's a couple of swims you could get into and just fish close in. So again, it's just building that mental picture and using as much information as you possibly can to your advantage, really. Now the other advantage of this app is that you can see other areas in your local area. So if you've got access to more than one river, you can see what the flow rate and what the height is on these other rivers, because you'll notice the smaller rivers obviously I'll have a smaller catchment area, so they'll start to drop a lot sooner. Okay, now on this one that I've got plenty of local rivers in there. I go as far away as the River Calder because I'm going to try and get over there at some point this year. But I've got the Derwent, the Foss, the Nid, the Ouse, the Rye, the Swale and the Wharfe. They're all rivers within my area. Now looking at this one today, which is the 20th of January, the Ouse at Skelton is running through at 4.7 metres. And as you can see on there, you can see that it is climbing. It's like a spaceship going into orbit. But if we look at, say, the Foss there at Huntington, it peaked at 1.85, I think it's there, and it's actually now down at 1.76. So you can see on the graph it's starting to drop already, and that is good information because the the Ouse is completely unfishable. I couldn't even fish from the footpath because I'd be fishing literally in the trees, which is a total nightmare. But if I was desperate to get out, the Foss for me would be the one that I would go to because it's on its way down and I know it's going to be fishable. And it's that kind of information that can save you getting up going, oh, I'm going to have a proper good session on river today. You drive 20-30 minutes, it's unfishable. Nightmare. So what's your plan B? What backup have you got? Whereas before you left home, if you'd have opened up the river app, checked the levels, you can go, actually I'm going to give that a miss today, I'm going to head to plan B instead. It just saves you time, and that has got to be a no-brainer because we all have busy lives regardless. Okay, most of us have got full-time jobs. We work Monday to Friday, gives us very little time to get prep done and stuff like that. We've got to whiz into a tackle shop on a Friday lunchtime, grab our bait, get our gear sorted the Friday night, head out for a session on Saturday. And if you get there and you can't fish it, you're going to waste half a day looking for somewhere else to fish. Whereas being a little bit more prepared, using your time wisely, downloading these apps, it just saves time, and that for me is a massive advantage. Whether you agree with it or not, it's purely personal choice, but I swear by it. Now the other bit of tech, and this has been around for, I'm not going to put a number on it because I don't really know, but I'm talking about the deeper, do you know the sonar things, the ball that you lob out and it gives you measurements and graphs and it shows you fish shoals and stuff like that in whatever area you're fishing, and it's linked to your phone or your tablet or whatever. I don't even know how it works. I looked at them and then I saw the price and I thought, you know what, you can have that, mate, because I ain't having it. But that's because I'm from Yorkshire and I'm tight. Would I use one? To be honest, I don't think I would. The only advantage I could really see that I would be interested in using it on is that there's certain stretches of the river near me. If you saw the Bream video where I got stuck in that blooming snag, and someone later informed me that there's supposedly a sunken boat in there. Now it'd be interesting to see if it was or not, because you'd be able to drop this in, let it trot through and you'd get a picture of the bottom. I think that's how they work, I'm not entirely sure. So that, from purely a nosy point of view, would be really interesting. And there's another section further down where it's shallow, then it seems to rise and then it just drops into oblivion. I'd love to see what the structure was there. So again, it'd be dead interesting. If anyone's in York who's got one, let me know, and if I can come down to the river with you and we'll film it and whatever, that'd be awesome, because I really do want to check one out. But as I said, I'm not prepared to spend the money on it because I'm tight, basically. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. It's a little bit of food for thought. Go check some apps out. Be aware though, if you start looking on the App Store or whatever it is, Play Store thing for Windows, most of them are going to be for America. And it can get frustrating because they don't make it clear. So you can download it, log in and think, there's nothing in the UK, uninstall it, start again. But yeah, Fishbrain, River app, and that deeper thing, go check it out, definitely. Might just save you bacon. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and I will catch you all later. Cheers.